The Switch 2 is out this week. We're going to be holding it. We're going to be playing it. And one of the scariest things about a brand new Switch 2 just got a huge update. And thankfully, like the past couple of days, Nintendo is actually doing good. And the bad is slowly starting to roll away. So good morning, Mario. Good morning, Switch fans. Super freaking pumped about this because guess what? The Switch 2 Day 1 update is not totally required. We thought that it was, and early people getting leaked Switch consoles were showing that they could not play any games. They could not access really anything. And we already had confirmation from Nintendo themselves that 3D audio, as well as the ability to use the microSD express cards, basically any memory card, was going to require a Day 1 update, and you'd have to connect to the internet to make this system do anything. Now, this was getting rage all over the internet, so I want to know from y'all in the comments down below, does this make you feel better about the Switch 2? Were you even ever worried about the Switch 2? Do you like this better? Because now we have confirmation that people have put Switch 2 games in the Switch 2, obviously without the Day 1 update, and they work. You can play native Switch 2 games without ever doing an update on that Switch 2. So if you want to take your Switch 2 and you just want to go to the mountains with Mario Kart World, and Cyberpunk, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition, you can do that. And you won't ever have to connect to the internet. Now, obviously, it's pretty easy to connect to the internet, but this assures us that no matter when you get your Switch 2, where you get your Switch 2, you can just pop games in and play. This means if you're giving it as a gift, or it's supposed to be an exciting birthday present, or Christmas morning miracle, you don't have to update it beforehand. You can pop that Mario Kart in, and it will be ready to go. I think this is great. And it makes the whole Switch 2 no reviews thing, Day 1 patch thing, a little bit murky. Initially, I thought that this Day 1 patch was all about keeping the system from even being used before launch date. Nintendo's been on major lockdown. They held leaks to an extreme minimum. They wanted to do everything they could to ensure a smooth transition. And to them, a smooth transition meant nobody knows anything about this system and how it plays until it's actually out. Nobody can try it. Nobody can record it. Nobody can do anything. And that's what it seemed like this Day 1 update was about. But now, this Day 1 update is really a Day 1 update, right? Like, this Day 1 update allows you to use Switch 1 carts and games on the system. This Day 1 update brings a few features online, like the aforementioned 3D audio and like the microSD support, which is going to be needed, probably not Day 1, but eventually. So it's just an update. And it makes the whole reviewer question weirder because they could have given review units out to IGN, GameSpot, whoever. They wouldn't have, but they could have given it to me. And they could have said, hey, try out the Switch 2 games. At least review Mario Kart World. At least review the Switch 2 editions. They didn't want anyone to do that. And maybe they wanted you to think that this system couldn't do anything. Or maybe they just wanted to create different levels of hoops to jump through. Like, okay, maybe someone's going to get a Switch 2 early. But what are the odds that they also get a Switch 2 early and they get a Switch 2 exclusive game early? Because they're going to need an update to play the Switch 1 games. It's kind of a messy, weird situation, but the important thing here is your Switch 2 does work without that Day 1 update as a new console. Obviously, if you want to play your library of games, if you want to try out the 3D audio, you're going to need to download the update. And in the grand scheme of things, I think needing to download that Day 1 update is not a big deal. I know that for some people, it feels like a big deal. I just can't see a world where you're buying a $450 Switch 2 and you're not going to have an online connection at some point. Drive to a Starbucks. I know, though, in principle, some people don't like that and they feel like the system is dead or a brick. I never wanted to portray the system that way. I just was filling you in on what it can and can't do straight out of the box. And now we know that even for all those sourpusses that say the Switch 2 is a nothing system, when they stop supporting it, you could buy a Switch 2 and it'll do nothing. If that update ever goes offline, your Switch 2 is useless. Not the case, not true. The Switch 2 actually can play all the Switch 2 games straight out the box. And I wouldn't be surprised if future Switch 2s don't need an update at all, right? Like the next wave or a few waves down the line. I'm not talking about like a Switch 2 OLED. I'm talking about just the next batch of Switch 2s that are made. They'll just probably have that update ready to go in there, and the OS will be updated and it'll be good to go. So this is not really a problem. This is not really something that's going to cause much impact to anybody. And again, we shut down the naysayers who are trying to tell us that the launch lineup is terrible. They're trying to tell us that the system is a brick, and if Nintendo stops supporting it, your Switch 2, a brand new one, would be completely useless, a relic, a brick. And we're just getting good news from Nintendo as we get closer and closer to launch, which is so freaking close. We can smell it. Just still over here drinking my ginger ale because I don't know what else to do. It's so freaking cool to share this with you. Hope you're excited about the Switch 2 just working straight out of the box. You don't have to do anything. Pop that Mario Kart in and boom. Now, if you have to download Mario Kart because you got the bundle, remember the bundle does come with the DLC, like a code. Sorry, not DLC, a code. You're going to still have to connect to the internet to download that game. But if you do have a cart of a Switch 2 game or a Switch 2 version of a game, you can pop that thing in and be ready to go. And you can just, lock yourself into the bathroom with limestone walls and you don't need an internet connection to bother you. And you can just play Mario Kart World until you collect all the P-Switch missions. And you'll be good to go. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your take on this in the comments down below. Cannot wait. We're getting so close. Of course, this is the hub for everything fun and awesome about the Switch 2. I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay with the positive out there. So freaking close. Until then, Switch Force out.